Good evening. I hereby call this meeting of the Skowhegan Select Board to order at 5:30 PM. It's March 17th, 2026. Please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Why are you doing that in my ear? You're messing with me.
Okay. So we're going to get started right off with the consent agenda to approve the minutes for the Select Board meeting, March 10th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first from Amber and a second from Kevin Nelson. Are there any changes, questions, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries
I have to sit out, right?
401, yep.
Yeah.
401. Right.
While Whitney's typing, there is no spots for announcement, but I do just want to give a shout out that this weekend is Maine Maple Sunday weekend. It's both Saturday and Sunday, so go find your favorite sugar house this weekend.
Okay, we're going to move right on to the budget workshop, and we're going to start with the Highway Department. Jason, that's your baby. How you doing today? Good.
So before Jason starts talking about specifics to highway equipment, I'll just go through quickly personnel and benefits. You'll see does everyone have their highway sheet up first here? So you'll see that there was a slight reduction in wages from last year. That's just, again, because the former finance director had put in a higher number, anticipating that the union contracts would come back higher. And again, this just sort of emphasizes the process of why we spend time to go back and forth to make sure we get the best deal for the town and for our workers. So slight reduction in that means that some of the, like FICA, Medicare, you'll see at the benefits below are just a little bit, they're decreased slightly. Our healthcare, we had employees come, we had employees go, so our healthcare didn't go up the full 11% based on what plans people are currently taking and what positions we have open. So you'll see that was only a 6% increase. Dental, of course, is just a flat 5% across the board, just like every other budget. Other than that, the operating budget, and Jason's going to speak to maybe a couple things, but you'll see at the bottom of, before you get to the capital reserve, the bottom of that sheet that says total, that's both summer and winter roads, which this town has always kept separate, but they're the same department. You'll see that we're actually, for the operating budget, like $51 or $31 reduced this year. So while boot allowances have gone up and whatever Jason's going to speak to here briefly, maybe telephones, the bottom line for the operating budget has gone down $31. So I'll let Jason take it away.
Yeah, we went up $750 on boot allowance, which is in the uniforms. And then we went up $2,000, which I think we can take that back off if we stayed with York's Landscaping, because I've talked to them, and if we stayed with them this year, we could stay in that $45,000 range. He said he'd do it for the same price as last year, so we could take that $2,000 off that we went up on landscaping.
We put that $2,000 though in just in case we had to go out to bid again. We're not going to find someone at that price. So
I think if we didn't use York's, I'm not trying to speak for them, I think we'd probably have to put that 2,000 up a lot more, because when we did bids for it last time, and he was the lowest, and I think he does a pretty good job, regardless of everything, but, but that's neither here or there right now. If you want to take that $2,000 off, we can.
I think we'll leave it at 47 for now
leave it.
until we decide if we want to go out to bid for that again. But I think
Yeah.
I'm in agreement that we should continue that contract. The piece that I wasn't here for, but a lot of you folks were, was for last year's town meeting. There's folks that were maybe wondering why the landscape budget was in.
Yeah, I wasn't
The
going
highway?
into that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I just want to touch on it quickly, just because we're keeping it in highway for two reasons. One, if it is York's, I don't want it in the rec department. That is a conflict of interest. And, but ideally, it should go there eventually. But I don't think there's a reason compelling enough not to have it in the highway budget and just keep it in here again. So just the board's prepared. There was that question last year. I wasn't at the town meeting, but
Yeah, I'm not sure why we had, what the issue is with having a mowing contract, because I'm not set up to mow lawns, and it's gonna cost us a lot more to get set up to mow.
Yeah, to get the
and
equipment.
do maintenance
I
on.
think the issue was that the rec center used to do it as part of their department responsibilities. And the secondary issue was that Paul was a select board member when he was earning
Right.
that contract. And while that conflict was disclosed, and the select board can still make a decision to award a contract, you just have to be transparent. You have to
Right.
recuse
Right.
yourself of that vote. So I think that was the issue, and when people spoke up at town meeting, they were hoping that the rec would just absorb that cost again, but I think that then that drives personnel costs up too, so.
yeah.
Right.
I'm missing something. I thought that that contract was involved with multiple different town properties
It
and
is.
taking care of it.
It is.
So that would make sense that the rec department wouldn't be dealing with that if it was,
Yeah, right,
All
right.
through town.
I'm saying it used to be in that budget, I think is my background, is what I was saying.
And I
it
think
used
they
to be.
did do some of the
Yeah.
mowing. It's just,
Then they got another baseball field and another baseball.
Right, and to be clear, I don't want our rec department, I mean, the costs are gonna go up,
We
we're
don't
gonna have to
want that.
hire more, we're gonna get more equipment and traveling stuff, so, but it's just, the point of contention here was someone had pointed out at town meeting, last year, very, very passionately that there shouldn't be a landscaping cost, and I think that makes sense. They were trying to say it's supposed to be absorbed into the rec department. So it'll just be important for the board to be able to speak to that at town meeting and say, we're not gonna get landscaping for $45,000 internally. It's gonna cost, the budgets are gonna change then if we have to do that, so.
Yeah,
Because it covers
for sure.
17 different properties or something like that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
keep
think-
going.
And we went up on Christmas decorations for $2,000. We don't really know where we're at with that sometimes. It goes up and down, so we might use it, we might not, you know.
I tried to cut it all this year. I was a Grinch. I was like,
Well, we know
why are
you're
we
the
paying for
Scrooge.
Christmas? And so Gail and Jason and Renee, backed me up and said, they explained what it was for. And I actually now, this is a crazy deal. It makes our downtown look beautiful with all the garland and the lights. But I will admit,
He was actually the one that suggested putting $2,000 extra in it, so.
nice try. I didn't say that, but I'm in favor of it. But I did try to completely nix that in the middle of the winter because I was like, what are we doing here? But I'm full support of it. I think it makes the town look that much better for the winter months. It's
yeah,
for
I
a great
agree. I
deal.
think Christmas decorations are important, but these are primarily for the downtown area, right?
Correct.
Right. So I'm going to just go back to, I really think that the downtown TIF should be covering these expenses since they're related directly to the downtown. It would lighten up the load on the general tax fund. That's all I have to say.
This one's a light cost. So this one didn't hit the tip. It wouldn't be that big of a deal for us.
No, it wouldn't, but it's representative of expenses that are directly related to downtown that should be coming out of that TIF.
I mean,
Move right along, Jason. Move right along.
So I'm gonna jump to revenues. This year, we have a revenue for the block grant, which is LRAP, which is what we get from the state for maintaining roads and taking care of that. That's an increase of, so last year, we got 174,308. This year, we're getting 218,368.
Do you
So,
know what's behind that?
how's it determined?
It's based on, well, I'll let Jason speak to it in a second, but so basically, there are like some roads that instead of the state sending their trucks through, we just maintain, we plow, right? That's
so
one of the,
maintaining, plowing, maintenance on roads,
for
like
instance,
Madison
this
Ave.
road right out here.
This
And-
road.
Yeah,
you see the signs that show, the comm center, I mean, not comm center, the compact zone that we maintain out to those. And that went up this year, the state issues the money, and I don't know why it went up.
They have a
but-
Play
formula.
with that algorithm at all? Is there
No,
a-
it's a state set formula that tells us how much they're gonna reimburse us for miles for, it's the local roads assistance program, so
Which isn't that much if you
it's not.
calculated it to you
Yeah.
maintaining and taking
It's really
care
a
of
deal
them.
for them because they don't have to touch this section of road with their state trucks and we take all the maintenance of it. But it's nice that it went up. It means they changed their formula for this year and there was a slight increase in
We
something.
didn't do anything different.
No. It's one of those things where the state sort of binds us to it.
And that's it for revenue ones, that I've, now going into equipment, here's the big one, so. I have a loader that's due to be replaced, and I've checked into leases and buying one. With a lease, it would be 58,500 a year. 58,500 a year for a lease for the next 5 years. That's without a trade. If you were to buy it outright, it would be 248,000. So if you do the math on that, I'm not into leases, but we really can't stomach to buy them outright.
You'll see that I included our unaudited reserve accounts for what we're talking to this time, so Whitney doesn't have to ask it.
Thank you.
And you'll see that, so what we're talking about here for that Public Works equipment, 65-25, is the snow plow and vehicle purchase designation. There's only one designation in the highway equipment capital reserve there. Our balance in there is 121,859,000. And we need to keep a balance in there because we have very expensive equipment in general that we run. Like, for instance, if a snow plow goes down in the middle of winter, this would not cover a whole new truck, but at least it's something for us to purchase. So we shouldn't be tapping in when our reserve is so low for one of our most expensive departments. And so thus, right, ideally, you would save up for a new car, and then you'd have a good down payment, or you'd have maybe it in full. This town has not done that. We have not done stringent capital improvement plan. You hear me talking about this frequently, and this is another example of why. We have not planned for replacement of some of these things. Sometimes we do, but we don't plan strategically. So when you don't have enough capital for a down payment or in full, and we need the equipment, then you have to look towards, borrowing the money. And so the municipal lease, while it's going to cost us, the loader is 48, the excavator was 65. So it's going to cost us somewhere between, $6,000 and $7,000 a year in interest, but that's way more stomachable than the $500,000 if we were to buy these two pieces of equipment outright. You'll see we're only at 202,000 versus the 550,000 we originally we're thinking about putting in here. Ideally, we save up, and you'll see that we're starting to do that. The other pieces that make up this 202 are,
Replacement of a truck that's coming,
yep,
and that will be in the next 2 years, so we're putting 50K in that. And then we'd like to finally purchase an excavator for the highway department that we've been pushed off for 3 years for that. And we'd like to put 35,000 for fleet replacement. That would take care of that.
we slid into two things there. So there's 50,000, three things actually. So 50,000 we're putting away for a dump truck that we need to replace. Those aren't cheap. And we're going to try to do that in 2 years, 2 fiscal years. So it's going to look like 3. And then 35,000 for normal, to add to this 121 for normal equipment balances, just because trailers need to be replaced, sidewalk machines need to be replaced, all the equipment they use. And then there's the $58,500 lease for the excavator. and the loader. There's two of them at the same cost. They're a little bit less than that, but we put in just a higher amount till we fine tune the right piece. So those are the same thing as the police cars. They're 5 years plus $1 payoff, and we own it. And so basically, we're reversing. Instead of saving that money leading up to it, we're going to have to buy it over time. But the shelf life of those pieces of equipment are much longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
So
So I'm just going to ask this question. The lease agreements generally, leases cost more, right? Because they have an imputed interest rate.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what that imputed interest rate is, right?
5.5 for the, man, my memory is good. I see a lot of numbers. It's 5.5 for the loader
Yep.
and 5.4 or 5.6 for the excavator. Over
5 years,
So
annual.
what's the interest rate for if we buy it?
we'd have to buy it outright. There would be no interest rate.
So why wouldn't we go get a loan with the bank? Because we can't get a loan with the
Oh,
bank.
oh,
right
you
now
mean a
because-
loan with a bank would be a similar interest rate, but we can't actually get it. This is what we were running into when I thought we were gonna have to do the forklift.
Yeah.
Because, and anything over $110 requires the balance sheet, which is in our 2022 audit, we don't have one
Okay.
recent.
So this is due to the audits.
Right, so
Okay.
this is the easiest way to get it done. But the finance piece, it's really, when they work with municipalities, the lease and financing are very close in cost. They don't actually take you to town like they do a regular person.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
5.5 is good.
It is.
No, it doesn't seem
Yeah.
bad. That's why I
No,
just like to know the difference.
I've calculated it down to 6,000 to 7,000 in interest a year for 5 years, if we buy these $250,000 pieces.
So how long do we typically keep them before we replace them?
The loader is 15 years out. 15 years for replacement.
So how old is the one that we have?
I believe it's 2000. I should know that. 2008, I believe.
It might be an 07.
And how many loaders do we have? Do we just have one?
We have 3. We inherited one from the pollution control when they used to have it out to the John Deere that was out to where they used to push up the manure or whatever it was out in the fields there. And then we have 2 Hitachi and I can't remember the other one.
But
Doosan.
This one's replacing.
And this
we're
would
gonna
be
trade it.
replacing the Doosan. It's the oldest one of the fleet. And it's starting to have issues, so it's time to, these newer ones don't last as long so much because the computer stuff, the John Deere is older, but it doesn't have all the computer stuff in it. So you gotta start replacing them or you're gonna start paying for DEF systems and stuff like that, the burn-off systems that cost you $30,000 to replace it when the exhaust goes on them. You know, if you don't start replacing them in 10 or 15 years, you're
Yeah,
gonna end up paying it in maintenance.
I would much rather get on a capital, but we legally can't delete them. That's the problem. What I'd like to do with the capital improvement plan is get on a system where we're not keeping these loaders till they're dead and getting some value out of them after 8 or 10 years. Because then you can trade it in and knock that price off much more significantly than you would otherwise. But we're not there yet.
How often do we use all 3 at the same time?
Doosan,
Just the winter time when we're?
2018, it's 2018.
How often, Ethan asked how often you're using
All 3 at the same time.
In the snowstorm, we use them all the time. Those 2 loaders, the Doosan and the Hitachi, they both have roots. And the John Deere sits at the shed to load trucks,
Right,
so,
because you gotta load trucks, that's right.
so. In the wintertime, we use them every day, every time it snows. One takes care of downtown, both of them take care of downtown and all the parking lots and help with the roads down here. And they actually have 3 or 4 dead-end roads that they take care of, each one of them. So, quite a bit in the winter. Summertime,
So they use like a pusher, is that what they do?
yep, yep. Yep. And then when you're hauling snow off, so a lot in the wintertime. Maybe not so much in the summertime, but there's always one moving in the summertime, doing this or doing that, loading gravel or screening hot top when we get our crusher and screening that out to put it in the pile and hauling that off. We use them quite a bit.
Silly question, but is it the most practical tool for the job?
It is.
Yeah, especially for downtown areas.
Yep.
My road in Winslow gets plowed with a loader.
So what about, do we have a snow blower? Like for the loader? You could put a snow blower on the front of the loader and you could load back the truck. It might make it so you would be faster, so you only needed 2 instead of 3.
We do have a snow blower. We use that sometimes when we're doing cleaning Madison Ave. When we do clean up in the middle of the night, we bring it all into a windrow and blow it into a truck. We do have one. It's currently needs a clutch, so we didn't use it much this year, but it is pretty big.
You have to sort of, one has to stay with the salt sand shed to load when trucks go back and forth.
Right.
So we can't count that one. So if you
Right.
took one away, that leaves just one for
Right.
all of our downtown stuff. So really you do need 2
You need to.
in the winter. Unfortunately, we can't get more use in the summer, but in the winter.
So, the other question I have, so with these newer loaders, like you said, they're all electronic, and it typically takes a dealer, mechanic, or computer reader to fix them. Do we have a maintenance guy that is capable of working on all these new pieces of equipment?
Like you said, we don't have the computers, so some of it has to go out, but we've been trying to do 5-year leases, 5-year maintenance plans on everything we're getting. Even our trucks are getting to be the same way. There's
Right.
some things you can't work on because you do something to it and you need a computer to hook it back up to reset the program.
So, I mean, our maintenance guy does oil changes, filter changes,
Yep.
stuff like that? Is
Yep.
that basically his?
Basically, that, tires, change tires, fix
Some
bed chains,
fabrication.
welding, if something broke. Some of these trucks, like 2016 truck, you're piecing that together in the course of a storm or course of a year.
Our mechanic's close to retiring, and so Jason and I talked to you briefly about this, but I want to revamp that position to get someone who maybe could get certified to inspect our fire trucks and, maybe work on installing police equipment so we're not paying as much when we outfit a police car. Get someone who can sort of encompass a bunch of more technical things. Maybe
Yeah,
add in a computer.
you say that stuff, but wintertime,
Yeah, wintertime
They-
is
they
all
gotta
hands
be
on
mine,
deck for
you know what I
years.
mean?
I get it, but just thinking outside the box.
yeah.
trying to-
So is he?
But he does do, like, Donnie needs on his truck, he's an oil pan. He's ordered the parts for that. He's gonna do that oil pan in-house, save
money.
quite a bit of money. So he does do oil change, more than just oil changes and
Is it
stuff like
just him
that.
in the shop by himself?
Just him.
Yes.
Usually I throw a guy with him if it's a big project.
I mean, I can see during the wintertime that would be difficult when you have broken plows and every sanders and every other
In the
thing.
middle of the night, trying to fix the
Jason's
chain.
out there at 11 o'clock at night helping them, so.
Ask a question, Jason?
Yeah,
So you have the paving plan,
yep, that was, we were getting there.
okay. I'm just noticing, and maybe you can explain, that I don't see the FEMA reimbursement under revenue, but maybe that's because you've already offset the paving plan cost.
Yes.
Yes,
Come up with the 1.291
yep.
for roads, which doesn't quite line up with the taxation number there, but maybe you have an explanation.
Yeah. Sorry, trying to get to it. They took my desk away up here for this.
So, while he's getting to it, so FEMA's payment came in from 2023's flood damage, and it was for 980,000 or something like that. And it came out of, I checked with our pre-auditors and our auditor. It came, that FEMA grant request was written because of bridge replacement and road replacement. And so those are going to go back into those reserves. So I'm going to split it, pretty much in the middle, 450 and 450. And that 450, we're going to make a one-time payment to to his paving plan in order to make sure we get the paving done that we need this year, because that was sort of due to us 3 years ago from what we had to pre-spend. And so now we're going to offset that back to what we're going to do this year. Jason knows that we're not going to be able to do maybe this much next year, but we do need to start thinking about maintaining our roads. The prep work is a lot more expensive than it used to be. It's not really the pavement anymore, but we should be doing, I think, 7 miles a year.
We should be doing 7 miles a year to stay on our, so we have 100 miles of road. To stay on our program, which we try to do a 10-year cycle on all our roads. If we start doing 5 miles and going less and less and less, we're gonna start going behind, and we're gonna have some shitty roads, excuse my language, bad roads.
I think I asked this last year, and forgive me if I forgot the answer, but this 10-year or less cycle for a lot of the roads in Maine is problematic for municipal budgets. And I got a tour of the composites lab up at UMaine, and the engineers up there are trying to solve for this because they were saying that one of the first things to go after the asphalt cracks is water seeps in, and then your rebar underground starts to
Cracks,
rust
yeah.
out, and then it causes bigger cracks and bigger holes. And so what they were solving for up at the UMaine lab is a composite material that is extruded out of 3D printers that won't rust and break down like rust. That lab has spun off entrepreneurs that are now commercializing the products they've innovated in the UMaine lab. And I was just curious whether any of the highway conferences you go to or anything are talking about these products.
I haven't heard nothing about it, actually, surprisingly.
All right, I'll see if I can dig up, I'll send it on to you. But the promise of an innovation like that is that we wouldn't have to rebuild roads every 10 years if we don't have an underpinning that is failing.
Right. A lot of our work, you can see, is a lot of the money, it is paving, but a lot of it is, we have to go out and ditch the roads. That's, you got 10 years of sand putting in that ditch every year. 10 years of sand in that ditch, we gotta change that culvert because it's clogged up. You can't jet it, it's rotted out. If you don't have a road that is draining, you're gonna have issues. So that's a lot of your money, putting culverts in and shouldering your roads correctly so it works. I won't build a road, I won't pave a road unless we do our ditching and doing that. And there's a lot of backcountry roads on this year. Try to stay out of in town this year because we're still gonna be messing with Madison Ave and the bridges. I don't think the people want any more in town for this year. Last year was quite a fiasco. But you got any other questions on these roads? I can help you out with it.
The East River Road, got 400,000 down to, we just gonna add to the embankment to try to build that up, or what's the plan on that?
On the East River Road, where it's being engineered right now, they're waiting for permits for that. So that would be, it will be a full cut down. We'll drop that whole right-hand side of that road down 4 feet. And then we'll have to go down inside the river and blanket that so we can pump the water out, so we can dig down, and we're gonna set big rocks down there. That's the engineer's plan. Start with really big rocks at the bottom and work your way up the bank. And where that's cracked all the way close to the center line on that road, the engineer wants to cut it right to the center line, or just before, so I mentioned to cut it to the center line, because you don't wanna put a road with a crack 2 feet in the drive lane. So we're gonna do that, and then we are gonna do some ditching on the other side of the road on that same project, because we're gonna run some culverts across, which will help maintain that whole area down there.
Has there been any thought of just buying the land to the uphill side and just shifting the road over rather than even messing with that. For the money that I think we're talking about spending, we may
Yeah.
be able to just, I don't know, this is a wild idea, I know, but move the road.
Possibly.
Just detour around it. I mean,
That
just-
was an option, it
It was an option at one
was an
point.
option on the first
Okay.
part of it.
As long as it was looked
I-
at.
I
It's-
did look at it, and I talked to the engineer, and he thought, depending on how much we had to buy that land for, and
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was, you know,
Talked
we
to
were
some pretty
looking at
big
all
pines and
options,
stuff
that's
like
all.
that.
Okay, all right, nope, fair enough.
any other questions on the paving? No?
I'm good. Anybody else?
That's about it.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. That was easy.
So you'll see for a grand total, 1.4% increase, 56,000. Very reasonable,
Yes.
very reasonable. Especially for the equipment that we need to get and the paving that we're gonna be doing, so,
So we're gonna be leasing a loader and an excavator.
yeah. But then we won't have to pay to rent an excavator, we're gonna fit.
That's pretty good.
We're gonna get, yeah, so that's a piece we didn't talk about too, you'll save a yearly
Still gotta
cost.
pass it upstairs.
And
Yeah,
we got a equipment trailer to move that excavator with?
We're gonna buy a rubber tire. We'll be able to drive it anywhere in town.
Okay, I got
I
it.
was actually
Okay.
still looking at both ways.
Yeah, all right.
Will you be getting bids from different vendors?
Definitely. I've got
He's already
a bunch
started.
of quotes right now already for both pieces of equipment. I'm gonna put it back out. I'm gonna go out to bid, but,
How do you think the local companies are, their bids come in strong, or?
yep, actually, the loader is Madison, so
It just makes
Very
it easier
local.
when it needs work, right?
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have that one that we drive it right up to them. They come right down.
Yeah. And if we don't buy rubber tire, it's a significant savings in the equipment, but we'll use that savings, part of it, to buy a cheap, we don't need a brand new 20-ton
Right.
trailer, but we just need something to move it around town if we have tracks,
Yeah.
but we'll save money.
I'm looking at both ways.
Yeah.
It kind of takes a real good excavator operator to drive a rubber tied one. It takes us kind of acting.
So the rubber tired excavator is more difficult than the track,
It
huh?
is. It doesn't, not everybody can run rubber tied because you're kind of like running it on a boat, you know? Bouncing.
But then you have to worry about damaging the blacktop while you're working on the culverts, right?
If you buy a rubber track, you could be
rubber track.
on that.
Okay. So what size are you talking about?
Like a 160.
Oh, with a
Yeah.
rubber track,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, gotta get some reach, get out there. And with those prices I got, it's gonna have a brush head on it. So we could be using this right now, brushing the sides of the road and doing all that,
And not renting one.
not renting one. And we
You
could
mean a
use it.
mulcher?
Yeah, a mulching head to mulch the side of the
Oh,
roads.
nice.
Save on chipping and a lot more manpower. Could use it quite a few months out of the year. And the idea with an excavator, you could have next year's roads ditched and ready to go for the following year, ideally. Probably ain't gonna do it the first year, but you could be setting yourself up for more than that.
It's a good project too for someone during the slower sides of the seasons
Yep.
to send a guy out doing that.
Yep,
Not
definitely.
have to rent one.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Nick, can I ask a question? So the FEMA reimbursement reduces this budget by about 10%?
Yeah,
And,
it's not a, we shouldn't, Jason knows we're not gonna be relying on this type of offset.
okay, I'm just curious, contingencies, we were talking about flooding as we were all settling in here today. And Saturday night, I think it was, emergency alerts were starting to come across the phone about, Somerset County.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
We were on alert.
flooding risk, loss of life and property, all of that. So, we can't really rely on FEMA right now, right?
No.
What happens if we have a major catastrophic event and we need help? recovering roads and bridges.
We would
right
take
now.
we'd pretty much take a bond out, right? It would have to be an emergency loan that we take out and pay back over time if we can't rely on other things. Right now, we have the town has done it correctly where they have their 20% unassigned fund balance, keep every year, right? So that way, you try to prevent having to take a tax anticipation note. We have enough in that fund that we could borrow from it to do these things, and then hopefully some state aid or federal aid would help reimburse those. In this case, this flooding was much more than the
Yeah.
980,000 we got.
It was a huge culvert and it ended up turning into a bridge, so that's why that was so much money. And we lost a road, and we did end up making it passable for multiple months before we could start it. It
Yeah.
wasn't pretty by any means,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
But that's, to answer your question, that's in the scenario where you can't rely on FEMA.
how do we think about this? in
That's
the
how we
future?
have,
That's kind of
it's
what
sort of what we have to do. What would be nice is if we had this emergency fund, but again, we don't want to be sitting on $1 million. Well, we could, but we don't want to like sit on $1 million and be using that at one point and then wiping out an account. So it's ideally, FEMA reimburses much quicker. It's usually a little over a year versus it's been 3 years now. And that's what we'd have to rely on, sort of a short-term funding with the idea that FEMA would reimburse us. In this case, we had the funds in the reserve and in the general fund to handle this emergency. I think we'd be able to handle an emergency like we had potentially this weekend with our current financial status. But
there isn't much we can't handle.
No.
We can make a road passable. It might not be pretty, but between the crew and I, you could make it work. It might not be
the other
55-mile-an-hour road anymore, but it would be passable.
the other 450,000 will be a little bit more. It's going into the bridge reserve
Yeah.
for the future. So
Great, thank you.
thanks, Jason. You ready to move on?
I think we take a short recess.
Okay. Yes, that's a great idea.
Okay. Oh, nothing, that was good, I just. Very happy.
That's all I live for. That's all I live for, Whitney. Is the recess over?
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, thank you,
Just
sorry, I
wait
need
for
a
you.
little water.
No biggie, sure.
All right, you want to move into administration?
Okay, we're gonna move into administration, I guess, you're gonna take care of that, aren't you?
Well, Gail's here too. So
Gail.
I changed it. This was called finance before, but these are, besides, our clerks, these are all non-tangibles. We can't adjust them. They're all sort of set pricing. It's sort of the catch-all is what this town has used this department for. So I've called it general administration, but the clerks are under here, the finance department, software, support, IT, our audit, copiers, lease, we lease our copiers, election expenses, etc. So the notables, I'll just go through them quickly. You'll see personnel went down quite a bit, part because, again, there was an anticipation last year before I was here that there would be higher union wages, and again, like significance of being able to negotiate that and lower it. We're now seeing what we saved. Also, I've constructed the position in the back corner, right? We're gonna probably change that to like a finance coordinator. They're gonna handle accounts payable and help with payroll, and separate HR and have HR and general assistants as one person, and not have a finance director, so to say. We don't really need that now. We have the framework set up. If we could set those two positions up to handle those tasks, and they can cover for each other, it's going to be great. We've lasted this long with Renee, which she's done great, right? I mean, we're months now, and she's been okay. I definitely think that reducing that position as far as duties go and spreading it out is better, and it's saving us money because we're not going to need to spend as much for this position. We may even go as far as to make this a part-time position and save benefits as well. I'm not there yet, But I am exploring that with what we're able to handle and spread out with the current staff here. Thinking forward, though, on when Gail departs, Gail and I have been talking, and we're gonna, with the board's help, because we've also talked about this as the board, it's hard to have an elected treasurer and clerk in today's day and age when you have such complicated regulations and standards to abide by. And so Gail and I would like to do some sort of public informational meeting explaining the importance of appointing a treasurer versus just electing someone, because we need to be able to hire someone with a skill set in finances and not just, we're lucky we had Gail, but Gail will tell you, she's humble, she'll say, I didn't know anything about it either. We really don't want that when we have someone step into this role and it be 2027 and we have, significant regulations these days. So the idea with that back person is we could split up the town clerk and treasurer and appoint that person, the treasurer, so the internal controls stay separate and the job duties don't get too convoluted, so we're not putting the next person that takes Gail's job, we're not setting them up for failure. We're one of the last towns this size that even have an elected clerk or treasurer for that very reason. We're too big to be having a popularity contest choosing who the next person is for this. So just be chewing on that as we go forward.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but I'm curious, like you said, 2027 and how things are changing with software and just, technology. And I know that you've got some experience in Blue Hill and some up in Vermont and all of these. Like, how would you say that we're doing in terms of being innovative in terms of the software that we're using to be efficient and effective?
Bless Gail's heart. We're getting there, right? So we've talked about it, but we moved from Trio SQL, which is a dated fund accounting software that also handles registrations for the BMV dog registrations. We moved it to the web, Trio Web, which is a 21st century sort of innovation.
Yeah.
And it makes it, there was some learning curves, but Gail was a trooper and her whole office staff is on it now. We're getting there. With Paul coming in before I got here, you guys set that up. He's migrated the servers over both of the PD, the public safety building and here, and reconfigured a lot of our IT setup. Him and I are working on a schedule to replace equipment, so we're getting there.
So like, I'm thinking about starting in another agency.
Yeah.
There's lots of competition on right from getting your LLC to payroll to, they call it practice management. I guess there's like lots of value in keeping that in-house, but do you see like HR, like outsourcing and things like that, like viable? Are towns doing that, or?
If you're in two ways, if you're a smaller town, like much smaller than ours, you would outsource some of your HR if you don't have the competent staff on hand. If you have a few staff that are clerks that don't handle HR, you may contract with, and those are harder to find, that will do it for a small rate like that. But you may do that. We're big enough where we should have a dedicated HR person on site every day to handle those issues and benefits. But in that scenario, it's most likely a smaller town that's contracting that out. We do payroll in-house, and Renee's great at it. The Trio module handles we do payroll through that. We've quoted going external for payroll, and it just doesn't make sense. It's much more cost-effective if you have someone in-house for a town our size to be doing payroll. And in this case, there's 2 people in the back that will be splitting that once we hire that position.
Cool.
Okay.
What's the difference in cost?
Like 20 or 30,000. It's half their salary or more than half their salary. So it's we're saving a lot by having them do it in-house and have someone that you can go to and talk about. We have how many officers up there that come down every week that have very complicated timesheets because they're a lot of overtime and whatever the union has allowed them to do. So it's very important that we have someone on site and not not at Bangor Savings or some external that we have to call and wait on hold and figure out people's pay. At the end of the day,
Just
people
out
wanna
of
get paid.
curiosity, so if we have 180 people that are in different homes and different schools, and they're clocking in and clocking out with EDV, and that's all going back to one system.
Yeah.
And that one system is informing payroll. So it's like, it's a billing software and a payroll software.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
at the
you're,
same
you're,
time.
you're talking about putting
Um,
two things to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
We're not there with the timesheets yet.
nobody's doing that on their cell phone.
No,
So-
not yet.
Okay.
People, yeah.
How does that work? Like, so they punch in and punch out at, say, the police department, right? They punch in and punch out.
Yep.
So Chief Buckman doesn't have to approve that before it comes down here?
No, he does. So each department in the fire and PD specifically have very specific timesheets because they have so many codes that they have to put for their time, where they were and what they were doing. So they have their own software that most police departments use, and then it goes to their direct supervisor, and then the direct supervisor signs off on it. Then it has to come to payroll. It has to go to Renee, and I have to sign off on it. I usually just sign the cover sheet because I look at everything. And then Renee processes payroll. Duplicate that for rec, for pollution control. They each have to go through their supervisor with their timesheet, whether it's the software the PD uses or it's an Excel sheet that we have set up that pollution control uses. We've looked at unifying, but the problem is PD and fire are so specific that we don't need that type of timesheet for everyone else, but in order to have the same one, we'd have to go with that program. So we do it cost effective for now with
They
It's
don't-
what else for me to think about, because we can pull like therapist codes and OT codes
Yeah.
and speech codes and all the different payments. I don't know, let's start a software.
yeah.
So they don't just punch in, punch out? I work 12 hours today, punch in, punch out. They have to have.
For like pollution control, they do. But for police, if they did X amount of hours at the hospital, they have to put the HRO code in. If they did X amount of on patrol, they do that. So
Is it a different pay rate, or is it all the same pay rate?
it can be, yeah. But it's not, typically it's their rate. It's their hourly rate. If it was overtime, for instance, it'll be a special rate, a code for that. And they have to keep track of it. It's like 50-something codes. I looked into this when I first started here because I was like, why aren't we all just on one paycheck system that signs in and signs out? Or when I work, I don't know if you guys have heard of that system, but those are too simple for what PD and fire department need. So maybe what we do is we get the rest of the town on something, but Gail will tell you not in her time. So
I'm really familiar with centralization and rethink, and I'm wondering if there's municipality versions of that.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
okay. So long story short, we're very cheap right now for the
Yeah.
payroll thing because we've created internally the spreadsheets and they work for now.
Free.
Yeah. We don't pay for other service for non-PD timesheet stuff. Maybe that's a cost we'll see in the future, but. Okay, so you'll see that personnel, the wages have gone down. For now, Paid Family Medical Leave Act, the PFMLA, I've estimated, it's gonna be estimated kind of high because some of them are lower. We won't actually know this number until we've finished everyone's budget. So we still have fire and police next week, and that's off of everyone's total and budget. So this budget's gonna change slightly, but I estimated higher than I thought.
Yeah.
But everyone's Paid Family Medical Leave Act, I think it's the full 1% comes out of one budget, aka that's why I'm calling this administration instead of finance. Let's see, I bumped up training. It was 1,000 in 2024. It got cut. I'd like to bump that back up because one, we're facing some retirements coming up here, Gail, and we're gonna lose 2 other clerks to retirement. We really need to make sure that the folks who are left over are trained, and/or if we hire someone before they retire, ideally I'd like to hire someone before they retire to train. I'd like to make sure we have some money for that. When we hire the other person for finance, I'm going to get them set up with training. I've already got a contract primed for our pre-auditors. They're willing to train whoever we hire, but I want to make sure I have some money put away to be able to train them. So 1,000 is probably not a lot for the staff turnover that we're about to see, but it's a $500 increase from last year's. Dues are a set cost. That's what we have to pay for, Maine Municipal Association, et cetera. The substance abuse testing went up just a little bit. This is what Renee has to do as HR when we hire someone. We can go through a drug test, right? They have to go through a background check, like the pre-employment testing. The respiratory testing, I think, is for fire, but again, that's a HR thing that we have to keep in there. Health insurance, we've projected if we have to hire another person in that corner with benefits, we've projected the highest plan, the family plan. It's very possible they take a less one, so it could be less than the 124,000, but it's only a $4,000 increase from last year. I mean, office supplies went up a couple hundred. Everything else relatively stayed the same. Let me see. Telephone went down, so this is a shout out to Brian. He did a great job with this, but before we had we were paying GoNet Speed for phones for $27,840, and then we were relying on our franchise agreement for the basic internet that we get through Spectrum. And again, it's not the best internet to begin with. They give us the lowest tier as part of the franchise agreement. So we worked out a deal with Consolidated Communications for Fidium to do our phones and internet. So we have a secondary internet in case that one goes down, so the clerks still have internet, PD still has internet. There's still a secondary core, just because we run everything off of internet. And we saved like $7,000, and we've got this locked in for 60 months. So that was a good exploration project from Brian.
Can you remind us what the jump between 2025 and 2026 was? In telephone?
So the other budgets, you may have seen a telephone line, and everyone's telephones were put in their individual budgets.
I see.
At one point, someone decided to put them all under this budget. So this is why I was saying this is sort of the catch-all budget. At some point, and I'll get to another budget line here that'll tell you what I'm hoping to do moving on next year. I don't want to change too many things this budget season. I've already done so much for changing. But yeah, actually, we're there. So the software support, that number is actually probably going to be a few thousand higher because we got a number back from a quote. So it's like 185. It won't really change the bottom percentage, but that's our Trio software. So that's what we do all of our BMV licensing on. Our dog licensing, fixed assets are supposed to be on there. That's what we use for the budgetary system. So these sheets you're looking at, I've manipulated what Trio's produced into this, and then I do my own equations for it. But this is the reports it prints for fund accounting. It's what Renee uses for accounts payable. It's what we use for payroll. That's in there. And then this is when I started digging and realized we really should not. It's in my other room. I left it in the room. It's a makeup of like 5 departments software, PD being the biggest. There's like $100,000 in software for PD. What I'd like to see next year is these budget lines broken up and put back into the specific department that have these. So like for this budget, we'll keep the Trio software because it's under the clerks, and we'd keep the website in this budget. But the PD, the $100,000 in PD software, it's going back in the PD budget, so it actually is transparent at the bottom, what shows what the actual cost is. There's software for the fire department that's going to go in there, not nearly $100,000. The rec department has a few $1,000s in software for their MyRec registrations in there. General assistance has a part in there for software. So at some point along the way, someone thought it was a good idea to put everyone's software under one budget line, but it's not transparent in my opinion. So I'm not changing it this year. We've already gone too many budgets without, presentations without putting it in. But next year I'd like to more accurately, I'll be adding a line and more accurately showcasing what each department costs for IT. Let's see. I put $31,000 in for audit, hoping that they'll be able to get 2 done. They did that last year. They put $31,000 in to hope they would get 2 audits done. And so I'm doing that again because we're down 3 audits. The repairs and maintenance, the IT contract, I put the same number in as last year. I did hear back right before this meeting. It's actually going to be a little less than that. And I think we should stick with the same IT person just because we just spent a lot of money with them to get all the systems set out. It would be really silly of us to go switch and get someone else in here who's going to then charge us another initiation fee to get their system set up and then learn our systems. We should give IT for me a few years before we try to switch that again. And that's a reasonable cost for how many departments they're taking care of. It's going to be less than 100,000 though. It's going down. I upped legal services to 35,000. I mean, we're at probably 40 something this year already, but the idea next year is we will not have 4 union negotiations all at the same time. We won't have any next year. So I don't think we need to bolster that anymore, but 35 would be safe because we have potential ordinance changes and challenges. Just the day-to-day, we have a lot of like week-to-week scenarios. Like right now, we have 2 code enforcement things that we want to make sure we get right. So we want to make sure we run it by legal so we don't get sued, so then we pay more later. So it's worth here and there, a couple $100 to have a lawyer review an opinion. Those things you don't see, big picture, but they add up over time. And so I feel comfortable with the 35,000 in legal. Let's see, retiree life. I think these numbers are good for they might change slightly, like the health reimbursement account. I think that's going to be good. The retiree life, I put 3,900 in there. That may change a few dollars when we get closer to putting everyone else's budgets together. But ideally, this is what this is going to be. I've kept the Christmas bonus line in here. It says in our personnel policy that we give out a $25 gift card if you've been here so many years, and a $10 gift card if you've been here a few years. I'm going to be changing the personnel policy. I'll have you guys adopt it, but I'd like this to not be Christmas bonuses and just be for the Christmas party we threw, because I pulled from there this year anyways for that, because $15 is really nothing nowadays, or $10, and so we're gonna. I left money in there, but I'm repurposing it for the party, so I don't have to solely rely on donations and myself. Thanks to Whitney, he did donate for our Christmas party this year, so we were able to have it. Let's see. We calculated the insurance increases. I know I was probably scaring you folks, saying it was going up a lot. It ended up going up less than I thought, by quite a bit. Building and general liability only went up $11,000. I was thinking it was going to go up 100, so huge relief there. Vehicles went up a little bit. Again, that's because of vehicle accidents and incidents with the vehicles, which Jason's not here, but he's well aware. He knows I'm the first person to call, and he's very sad about it because he knows I'm upset when we get in an accident, but some things are inevitable. Other than that, nothing else really changed for our regular insurance. Any questions so far on the operating budget? We're looking at a 1.3 in the operating. Good. Capital reserve for administration. So I've given you that sheet with the balances of the reserves. You'll see that the administration reserve is made up by the IT improvement and replacement, clerk record preservation, office equipment replacement, and I'm keeping keeping track with the 20,000. I went back and looked through the IT improvement and replacement, and we've typically gotten this reserve up to like 100,000 because there is so many. If you combine all the software, the computers that we use. If we had to replace even a fraction of them, which every time we replace 10, it's $10,000, which we did this year, we need to make sure that there's money in this reserve. It's down to 43,000 because we spent a chunk of it with Paul helping to buy a new server and get some things upgraded. So we need to make sure that we're continuing to put money aside so that we can pay for some of the computers that are getting older. And not just computers, some of the smaller printers that we have that aren't part of the lease and whatnot. That's the only reserve we have for the finance administration. For revenues, Gail was conservative and didn't project an increase. I think we might see a slight increase just because BMV, excise tax, values of cars have gone up, but it also goes back to you can't, it's so uncertain, you don't want to be too liberal in your estimation and then fall short. So we've kept it the same as last year, which we've hit, for a total impact of just $22,000 extra, 1.3% increase. Gail, is there anything you want to add, or are you good?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that's gonna change, I don't think it's gonna make a lot of difference, but the state's come up with a new plan on camper trailers. It used to be camper trailers were taxed, excise, just like cars, meaning they had drops. And now there's something that they're doing excise tax on trailers, like they do excise tax on boats. Unless I'm reading it wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. It's gonna be on the length of the camper, not the.
So they're still going to pay excise, just,
But not like you paid on cars. That's how camper trailers used to be.
yeah,
It used to be, if you had a, 2026, it was $24 a thousand.
yeah,
And now it's gonna be,
based off length.
it's gonna be.
Not
on the
MSRP.
length, and the fees are
Yeah.
not a lot. So somewhere along the line, that's gonna change excise tax.
Okay. We're not probably looking at a huge, I don't think everyone has campers here, so I don't think we're going to be looking at a huge loss.
A lot of people go out, but some people go out and buy campers,
Yeah.
and then they get a transit plate to bring it to a campsite, and then they don't register it for 7 or 8 years. So,
That's
I
clever.
think-
Fine.
That's
and I
clever.
think maybe that might be why the state's doing what they're doing,
Yep.
but I don't know.
A fine for an unregistered camper is cheaper
Than paying
than
for registration.
registering
That's
it.
Yeah.
So you can get caught.
Don't say that publicly.
It's true.
That's
I'm not gonna lie to them.
No, that's awesome. All right, any other questions from you guys?
No.
I'm sorry, this one took a punch these and crunch them and get them ranked, but I think they're both very reasonable, given the day and age and what we've been doing. I think they're very reasonable increases, so, minor increases.
Great job. We're going to move on to the treasurer's warrants to be approved. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's warrants, number 69 and 70?
I move we approve the treasurer's warrants 69 and 70 as written.
Second.
First from Kevin, second from Elijah. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Just moving on to upcoming meetings. We know we have a meeting next week, planning board, regular meeting, March 17th at 6 PM at the town hall. Oh, that's the planning board meeting, I apologize. And then the regular select board, the planning board meeting is,
Ignore the planning
Tonight.
board meeting, ignore
That'll
the
be
planning.
tonight.
Yeah, they didn't schedule one tonight, so ignore
oh, they
that.
didn't? Okay, so. The regular select board meeting is March 24th at 5:30 PM in the town hall. And then we still are looking to schedule a TIF educational workshop.
In April.
In April. Is there any other business? Seeing none, if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
First from Amber, second from Ethan. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Please sign the documents on the way out.